So today I'm going to be presenting how to get promoted and recognized within your first 90 days. And also, if time permit, we're going to be able to touch on understanding your role as a understanding your role as a project manager, business analyst, developer, or solution architect. Both based on my experience in consulting and also my experience just working in an industry that's not consulting, that doesn't have to deal with like Salesforce or anything else, right? So there's 11 things that I believe is very important when it comes to um, being able to achieve greatness at your workplace. And even overall, you can even, like integrate this into your personal life, to your daily life. I think it's going to really help you. So there's total of 12 things, but I believe 11 things is the key things that we actually need right now in terms of like our career, which is what I kind of just touch on. So the first one is respect timing. Second one is get noticed. Third one would always be learning, like continuous learning, continuous growth. I'm happy to be in Blackforce. I'm happy to continue my CPD because Blackforce is a platform that it's not just about training or getting a job. It's also helping us to get ahead of time in terms of like knowing the new technology. Continuous learning is happening most of the time. And this is very important. I think I'm going to really, really talk on that. Master the art of sales. If you guys are looking at the art of sales, you're thinking, why is there sales when it comes to, what we're doing? We're in IT, but I'm going to touch on that. Have an ascension plan. Always make your boss look good. Stand next to a superstar. Find a guardian angel and benefactor on the job. Move and, here, why? We're going to talk about that. How to repair your career. So if you're struggling, I know there's some conversation that has been happening, even like Blackforce, all these, like, for example, what we're doing right now, bringing people to come and speak to you guys. Maybe you got a job at the beginning, you lose your job, now you're going back to like the job market. Like, how does that make you feel? Well, I'm going to touch on that as well. And lastly, will be like find the right mix to prepare and lock. So the first one is respect timing. So most of the time, when I talk about respect timing, I don't know what comes to you guys' mind, but for me, it's based on my experience. Most people, and including myself, we believe that getting promoted is a reward for what we've done in the past or for our performance. After talking to our boss and saying, "Oh yeah, your boss said you're doing good and everything is fine," you think, "Okay, well, I'm gonna get rewarded. I'm gonna get promoted." But this is actually false, right? Employers are not rewarding your strong performance for like what you've done in the past, right? They're basically investing in the future and thinking about, okay, how do we contribute things? Like just imagine like if no matter how it is, as a business, if you have a business model, you always want to see like what's new, how do you move forward, what's going to happen in the future. Like we all know, like with Salesforce, there's like a lot of AI being integrated into Salesforce now. Like, with data cloud happened over 4 months ago. Now AI, there's a lot of things that is going on, right? The moving part, right? So you should be able to catch up to be in the same, right? So that way your employer can continue to invest in you, right? Like no matter what you've done in the past, it doesn't matter. Like if you're not consistent, if you're not relevant, the employer is basically just going to say, let's look for somebody else. So, but the sooner we understand and we grasp the fundamental truth that the closer you will be getting to being promoted. So no matter what you've done in the past, your boss really doesn't really care. And that's the honest truth, right? What they care about is what you do for now and the company or what is going to happen in your new position, right? So, severally, everything that you've done in the past, yes, they will appreciate you. Maybe they've acknowledged you or they give you some kind of incentive to be able to say, thank you for what you do. But if you're a career person and you're looking to get promoted, you have to do more, right? So it's only what you do in the future that's going to drive promotion, right? Right. So basically, that I need you guys to keep that in mind, right? But there's a lot of things that can happen, right? So why is the best person may not get promoted? You might even be the best at your job and you still don't get that promotion. There's a lot that will happen. Companies don't hire the best person for the job. They optimize the outcome of the staffing. So again, let's think about it. Not only are you competing with other people who want the same job internally, but externally as well. You might be competing with like company impression in terms of the and benefit of living versus the risk of giving you the promotion, right? And you have to think about the company too. They'll look at cost. If we promote you, how much money do we have to pay you? If already like, you're making six figures and now they're thinking like maybe you're going to be making seven figures. Should we bring somebody on board that we're going to pay less, which happens from my experience, it happens before, like, when I was asking for more money and the company, I find out that what they're even paying me right now is more than what they intend to pay somebody else that they're going to bring on board, right? In terms of like how they're going to use it to save costs, right? So some of the things that you can put in place is like, your skills. Make sure that your skills is, at some point I always use the word you're irreplaceable, but everybody's replaceable. But if you're increasing your skills, you're continuing learning, then if you want to leave that job, another company will be able to just grab you like that, right? Some of the things that a company might consider is probably the cost. And if they look that it's more expensive to bring somebody else in, they might just have like a little bit of bonus to you and give you some kind of incentive for you to stay. But we should always have that opinion to, constantly thinking like, okay, we might be able to move. And guys, let me know if you have any questions, right? The second one is get notice. The moment you got a job, you signed your contract. I think it's very important to set a goal for yourself and think about, okay, what am I going to do? For me to be able to get noticed, to be able to gain trust with the team, to be able to at least put myself out there, like put myself in a position whereby they know that, okay, this is what I'm doing. Because as a new job, when you get a new job, they're looking to see that, okay, is this investment really something that, is bringing value to us, right? You've go through the interview process, you've been able to pass the interview. So what next? They want to know that you can do the job, right? So get notice is all about it. So you have been doing the job, you're doing great at your job or whatever assignment that they're giving you, which is not negotiable, right? Because that's what they're paying you for. And if you're thinking about getting promoted, it's not a non-starter. It's just the number one rule. The first thing is to package yourself for the promotion, basically preparing yourself and making sure that, you have the knowledge, the skill to be able to do the job that you wanted, the new promotion, which is the new role, right? So for example, as a project manager, maybe you want to become a delivery manager, you want to go into an executive role to be like a director of delivery or even to be a director in any organization or director of IT, right? So you need to know, like you have to have the skills, you have to have the knowledge, you have to have the understanding to do the job, and you have to like package yourself for that too, right? And then be available when the opportunity knocks, right? Make sure that you're available. How do I mean that you're available, right? You have to go out of your way to be able to show them that you're committed, right? So sometimes, going above and beyond puts you in a spot that when a promotion comes up, you will be considered for that job, right? Develop the skill set needed for the advancement. Again, it all comes back to the skill set. Going back to what I'm saying about Blackforce, every time there is like a new development, a new training, or there's a software, even the training, each cohort, there's something new being introduced, right? So that is how we're like staying on top of our skill sets and to make sure that we're ready. Make yourself known to the right people. What does this mean? When you're doing, for example, you're building a relationship with your client is able to trust you, you're getting feedback from your client, you're sharing the feedback with your immediate boss. or when you're doing your quarterly review, you see that your boss is bringing your name up and things like that, right? That will connect you to the right people, because then you start getting recognized, right? Um, Lastly, it's not how wonderful you are. It's sometimes it's who you know. You might be wonderful, you might be great, but if you're just like, some people will say, oh, my personality is for me to be reserved. I don't really say much. I don't like to talk much. I don't do this. I don't do that. To be honest, it doesn't help you, right? It won't help you. Why you need to like continue to build your network, communicate, if your clients give you some feedback, share it with your manager, especially the positive feedback. That will help to make sure that you're getting notices and they're documenting everything, and making sure that you have like the tools and the resources that you need to be able to do the job, right? Manage expectation and manage perspective. Like, the short thing is you need to manage the expectation. Like, when you have your job description, what you want to do and what they want you to do, you have everything documented. And there's nothing like wrong going out of your way once in a while to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone. If there's an issue on the team and you have the experience to solve it, solve it. We're fortunate to have the mentor platform, the resources to us. Like I will see sometimes people will post that, I'm having this issue. Obviously, in an organization, there should be somebody that can help. If they cannot help, you have a group of people that can help you, and then you can go back and say, listen, I find solution to some of the problem that we're facing. There's no way that's not going to get you noticed. There's no way that's not going to put you in a short spot for anything, because they will be like, okay, this person is thinking outside of the box, right? And there's something that I want us to like consider, realize, 4 things. There's 4 rules for hiring and promotion that I want you guys to like know. There's the first one is the waiter rule, right? For example, they call it the waiter rule because, like the waitress and waiter, they'll come to you and tell you like, oh, what do you want? If you go to a restaurant, you want to order food. Can I get you water? They're doing all of that in order for you to give them a big tip, right? Think about it that way too, right? Like if you're working on a job, right? You're going out of your way, checking to make sure everything is okay, being on top of things, sending email when you're supposed to send it, sending meetings recap, sending it when you're supposed to send it, checking on your whatever you're working with, your business analysts, your QA people, just your team in general, checking their mental health, making sure like those are like all your skills in terms of your leadership skills, your people skills, your communication skills. Those are the things that is going to help you. So, like, that's why I said, think about the waiter, why they're waiting to take your order, when you're eating your food, all the things that they do. And they'll think in mind, if they're rude to you or their service is not good, you're not going to tip them. You might even complain, right? So let's have that mindset too. Like the whole thing it goes both ways when it comes to what we do as well, right? For example, if a client that was supposed to, you're doing an implementation and a client said, well, this is not what I requested. This is not part of the requirement. But maybe during your team meeting or your daily stand-up, your team hit a roadblock and you guys just brainstorm and you brainstorm a solution that, okay, if we do it this way, we'll be able to achieve what the client wants. But if you don't communicate that to the client and during the demo section, you just happen to present that and the client doesn't know about it, it's something new. It's going to throw the client off. So again, constant communication and stuff will help you. The second one is the salt rule, right? When you put too much salt in the food, you won't be able to eat it, right? Do you want your food to taste better? Yes, for sure. So again, think about senior officers, like the way they think, like senior management or an executive, right? They won't rush to judgment. They will look at you as a candidate and see if, most organizations actually do this now. Like they call it culture fit and see like, okay, let's make sure like, this person fit within our culture, right? And once they do that, once you get hired, again, continue to monitor you to see that. So if you want to get noticed by senior management, you have to make sure that you're doing the job, right? You can't just assume that every aspect of your behavior is being observed, but also just realize that they're observing that. So when there's time for promotion, it's the details that matters, like all the little details of things that you've done and what they're expecting. Those are the things that is going to be able to like put you into that situation where if there's a promotion or if there's any other job or responsibility, like they'll see, like, can this person multitask properly? Can this person, like, those are the things that they're going to look before they now said, yes, you can get the job, right? The third one is the airport rule, right? Think about an airport. If you're traveling, right? Many hiring managers, right, they kind of just tends to use that. Again, I just find this out recently because from my experience, doing multiple interviews, talking to like more executive and stuff, right? Like I started learning so much things, which is why I'm like, okay, this is something that I really want to share, right? So think about the airport that, if you're stuck at the airport for like an 8 hours and there's a delay, right? The first thing is you're thinking about the where you're going. If you have an important meeting, first thing is, okay, I'm going to get on my phone, reach out to say my flight has been delayed or something is going on. If you're stuck, like, well, I want to be that person that you get stuck and but if you communicate and says, you know what, my flight has been delayed, you send them a screenshot of it and everything, that this is why you're going to be late, the people will understand. It comes back to our job as well, right? This is very, very, very important. It's called transparency. Transparency in everything that we do. We might stumble upon a problem. It's okay not to have the answer immediately. It's okay to be able to say, listen, we're going to go back internally and then we'll get back to you. Don't try to, I know we like to say, okay, let's finesse it. Don't try to finesse most of the time. Try to like listen, go back. Okay, we're just going to document it, send them a recap note, and then just be transparent with what's going on. If whatever you find out is going to cost additional money on the project, you need to communicate that as well. And then you need to give reasons why this is going to happen, right? The last one is the beer rules, right? Again, it's so much with the same, right? With the airport rule, if somebody that likes to drink and there's 2 or 3 candidates, right? And, you are the boss, you're trying to hire someone, but you took them out on a date or a dinner and you said, let's get to know each other, come, like, and then you just notice like your employee is just drinking. Just going to tell you that, okay, am I hiring a drunkard that they're going to get drunk, they won't be able to do the job, or they're going to call in sick the next day, right? So again, people who are pleasant, comfortable in their own skin and in possession of what sense of humor really do have an advantage. So again, always making sure that you're pleasant, you're comfortable, you're honest, you're truthful, you're communicating, I think is going to help you. It's going to help you. I'm going to move to the next one. Always be learning. This is very, very, very important, right? Again, continuous learning is a big deal in the field that we are. I'm not even just going to say in the field. I think in life generally, if you want to be positioned properly in life, you need to continue to learn. No matter what it is, if there's like a book you're reading, you need to read it because we live in a world that change happens like really quick, right? If somebody's going to tell me like between last year and now that there's going to be like a lot of changes in terms of like IT, AI. I know like we're saying like it's coming, but like it's finally here, guys. Excuse me. So in the word of Lois Patel, it says, fortune's favor the prepare mind. If you prepare yourself, there's not going to be any cause for alarm. So, know what you need to know. continue to learn. It's just like a medical doctor and scientist. Medical doctor, they always have to learn new things. If they stumble upon a problem, they will say, okay, yeah, I'm just going to reach out to my other colleague to find out, what's going on. I've seen this situation before, but I need an understanding better before I can prescribe anything. Same thing with scientists. Like, for example, cancer research, they do a lot of research. So it's like continuous learning. We have to do that in our home field as well, right? So, for example, maybe when you got your job, at the beginning, for me, I can use myself as an example. When I started, I decided that I'm going to be in IT. The first certificate that I have was just my PMP. But overall, when I was doing a contract, I realized that, there was a Scrum Master on my team. Every morning doing daily stand-up, the Scrum Master would say, do you guys have any impediments, any blocker, what's going on? Like, and I'm thinking, okay. Then one day I just say, I would need like 25 minutes of your time. I'd like to know your role. Like, what do you do? He told me he's a Scrum Master, but his job is like seems like the most easiest one because it's just basically assigning tasks from the backlog and saying, okay, this is done, this is completed. If there's any issue, he'll tell us that he's going to solve it. And I just like did some research and I read about it. Like, okay, this is how to become a Scrum Master. Wow, it's easy. I went for it. I got my Scrum Master certification. Right, that kind of put me on the spot because any interview or people reaching out to me, they're saying, "Oh, you have a Scrum Master certificate, or you can even do a job as a Scrum Master," and that gave me another opportunity. Right. So continual learning is for sure 100% in our field. We need to continue to do that. And, we're so lucky that we have a platform to be able to do that, right? So let's talk about the difference between about like fast track people that anticipate the need of the organization. If you anticipate what your organization needs, for example, doing your like quarterly meetings, maybe you're working with an organization that they sends email out to say,